everybody. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Sound Pollution. This week we are interviewing the Groovebirds, which I've had on the show before, and I really love their music. So if you make sure to click those links below, go show them some love. But before we launch into all of that, Brent and I wanted to take a moment to discuss the really sad loss in music on the 25th, which was the passing of Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for the Foo Fighters.
We more or less just wanted to do a recognition of Taylor Hawkins. He, as y'all know, he died on March 25th. He passed away in Colombia while he was on tour with the Foo Fighters in South America. Taylor was 50 years old. He rose to prominence as a drummer for Alanis Morissette. And then later, he would be known as the drummer for the Foo Fighters, which he started playing in 1999.
25 years.
Till his passing. I did some research on him, so I have some stuff if you want me to talk about it.
Please go.
Okay. So I was going through his stuff, and I found out that probably the first drummers that influenced him was Roger Taylor of Queen and Stuart Copeland of the Police. On the internet, found that Stuart Copeland was talking about Taylor's spirit. And he said he was 50 years old, going on 8. And then he followed up by saying he was a fan of everybody, a real enthusiast. Even though he was a star, he was very interested in all other people and how they got there and what they do. And then he went on to say, talking about his death, he goes, nobody saw Taylor coming. He was just a force of life that seemed unstoppable. He goes, the music, of course, is going to be important to a lot of people, but the hang, that's what I'll miss. So that's kind of what Stuart Copeland said about him. Dave Grohl referred to Taylor as his best friend and partner in crime in his autobiography, The Storyteller, Tales of Life and Music.
It's a really good book, by the way. Read it.
It is. He referred to their relationship like Beavis and Butthead, part Dumb and Dumber, and hyperactive blue lights air drumming wherever they went. I think that's a nice way to remember him. Hawkins also co-starred with the Foo Fighters in a film called Studio 66. It released last month. It was a horror movie, comedy. So he's going to be greatly missed, not only by his friends and family, musicians, but the fans.
He was also Iggy Pop in CBGB, wasn't he? I think he was. I didn't even recognize him in that. Somebody had to point it out, man. I'm sorry.
Crazy, isn't it?
I didn't even recognize him until somebody said something.
Yeah. But he's going to be missed, and I think it's good that we can always go and find him in the music, the movies now. And then there's also a bunch of videos, documentaries where you can kind of learn a little bit more about him. I think the best thing that I read on him was that he was a fan of everybody, a real enthusiast. And even though he was a star, he was interested in all other people. I think that was the kind of guy he was. He was just really excited about everything. And so that's kind of why I think Stuart Copeland said he was 50 going on 8.
Yeah, I could see that from the interviews. This one hit me hard. I don't know about you. For my generation, I would say the Foo Fighters were one of the best bands easily in the last 25 years, obviously. It was, for me, the Foo Fighters, and I know I will catch such shit for this. They were, to me, like, they picked up where a lot of grunge bands kind of left off.
Blasphemous.
I know, but they did. Not a lot of them kept going, and it was just every time that beat dropped, I was like, that's the Foo Fighters. I fucking knew. Like, I didn't have to hear Dave. I just had to hear the guitar and the drum, and I was like, that's the Foo Fighters. That's the Foo Fighters. They are my favorite band to date.
They're your favorite? I didn't know they were your favorite.
They are my favorite. We have a rule in my car, and my daughter made it, so I pass on the love. You don't change the station when Foo Fighters, Nirvana, or Green Day come on in my car. It doesn't matter what song, you just don't change the station. So this one's sad, and I really want to send our love. I mean, we didn't know him personally, but it felt like we did. And I really want to send our love out to his bandmates, because you play music for that many years together in your family. And I really feel for their loss, and I'm very sorry. And I want to send love to their family, his wife, his children. And the Foo Fighters did ask on Twitter that their privacy be respected. And so I want to encourage everybody to continue to do that. And the Foo Fighters have canceled all their tour dates at this time. And we just need to have patience and understanding and love for everybody who's feeling this one.
So how did you find out?
Because I get on Facebook every day and promote us. And I got on Facebook, and a friend of mine, or an acquaintance of mine, said, "Oh my God, not Taylor, not my favorite band." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I Googled it, and I was real sad for like a weekend. Like, I'm still sad, but I was like, I texted Brent. I was like, "Oh my God."
That's me, in case y'all are wondering.
Yeah, I had to text my buddy, because like I was like, no, just sad. Sad. It feels like the end of an era, and I hope I'm wrong.
I was sad too. I was working my second job, and we were getting ready to head up to talk to some artists in Dallas. And I got in the car, and my boss was driving, and his wife was in the back seat. She goes, "Hey, did you hear about Taylor?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "Taylor Hawkins died." And I was like, "No, he didn't." Sure enough, I went to the phone, pulled it up, and he had passed away. I felt sad, but that's gonna happen. If you listen to someone and you listen to them playing and you feel like you're kind of a part of their life, it's gonna hurt a little. But anyway, we just wanted to take some time and talk a little bit about him. And if y'all want to respond and comment about him or reach out to us, that's fine. We'll listen. I think we're actually gonna play something, so you'll be able to
per Brent's request. And before we launch into that, I just want to say real quick, we own no rights to this song. Please don't get us in trouble. We own no rights to the song. Okay. This is Taylor's band, and the song is Range Rover Bitch.
Take it away, Taylor.
Take it away, Taylor. Rest in peace.
I've got a lot of questions for the Groovebirds, but I'm only going to ask 5.
Thank you.
It was hard to pare it down from 864 to 5.
Because you're fucking killing me, man. I love you so much, but it's too much editing.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
You're great. That's why you're here. I heard them laughing. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Are they on?
They are.
Hey guys, how's it hanging? So, do we have Tracy Rod? Is Phil there?
No, Phil could not make it. I'll tell you the truth. He never makes it to these things.
Okay.
It's just not his thing.
He's a little bit like Neil Peart. He does not have much to do with the what do you call it? The schmoozing side of things.
Ah.
Well, tell Phil.
Are we considered the schmoozing side of things, Brent?
Well, I don't know. I was under pressure. I couldn't think of the
I love it.
The promotional side of things.
Look, as long as you tell Phil that I'm disappointed and he gets the message, I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Y'all guys, I actually had a question if y'all are ready to roll.
Yeah, let's do it.
So y'all guys said when y'all tour, it's Tracy and Rod, and Phil doesn't
He does
partake.
Sometimes. Yeah, we're trying to put together something on the West Coast that he will partake of as much as possible. But a lot of times we end up having to do duo because it's economically more feasible. We can tour because we're a married couple, and then we put things on.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
what
I mean?
I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's harder because like what you end up having to do is save your costs if you want to tour. So the more you can do with just 2, the better, you know, even though the sound is obviously exponentially improved with, you know, a variety of sonic scaping, shall you say, like if you have somebody else, if you have a 4-piece or a 3-piece, but we do the best we can with what we got nowadays, you know.
Well, Phil doesn't see the value of things like sleeping in your car, you know, the finer things of life on the road. So
he's less into that because sometimes it's a grind, but it is what it is, you know.
No,
that's why y'all are rock stars, okay?
Yeah, that's us.
We're just we're like grassroots bards, you know, like the days of old when you fucking, you know, cruised along and got, maybe if you were lucky, you got a fed. And if they, you know what I mean? Like you have.
I think that's kind of like days of new.
Days of now.
Maybe
man.
it's not that way for everybody.
No, you make okay.
Don't tell us if it's not that way for everybody.
Good for the money, but we like it when we get paid. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Y'all guys are hilarious. Y'all are like interviewing each other right now.
This is fantastic. I love everything about
We'll
it.
be back in about 30 minutes. Y'all guys get everything out.
Fire away, man. We're ready.
All right. So basically, who are the other members of the band?
Phil Carroll's the only one that's with us technically as a band member. So in the past, we've had Bill Barnett, who's recorded a lot of our stuff at Gung Ho. He's played a lot of the guitar parts and things. Some friends of ours, Christine and Chad McAllister, they're a duo called Bees in a Bottle from Portland, Oregon, Pennsylvania originally. And they played a lot on some of the other albums as well. A couple of people I haven't met. Tracy met them. They played horns on the first album, but
it's really often a collaborative.
It's mostly just us as a duo,
right?
And then Phil, obviously, he's really the meat and potatoes of it all, because he's the multi-instrumentalist and does a lot of those things that I should say, speak for myself. I write with hack piano, and that's where it goes from there. But my parts do survive on occasion.
Well, basically, y'all sent us the album called Blues.
That was a kind of a file sharing effort recently of just all basically blues, 2 covers and some other stuff. And it kind of went a little bit of a different way than we usually go. We have a little bit more of an indie soft rock sound, but here we kind of branched out and I really am a huge fan of the blues. It's kind of why I started playing bass, because I was really into playing blues bass and played a lot in Portland, Oregon. But my writing different. It's indie, it's alternative, it's just original music. But I really have a lot of respect for blues and jazz. So it's kind of a nod to, a nod to the blues genre, of which I've often wanted to play.
I dig it. I love it.
So I was reading up on it. It said this is a bunch of original songs and 2 covers that were typically played during your live sets but had not been previously released. Is that true?
Exactly.
Cool. I thought it was pretty cool that you'd been playing them all these years, and you decided to, hey, we're going to release this. The whole album has a really cool feel to it, not only from the songs that were written and being played, but the sound. It's like you were going for a specific sound, so I really enjoyed that, and it was consistent throughout the whole album. I enjoyed that just from a recording standpoint.
I enjoyed it, and it was different from your last release.
Yeah. Some may not like it,
But no, but I think that's why I liked it. It was nice to hear your range and what else you could do. A lot of people like to pigeonhole themselves, and I think it's a personal thing for me. I love when artists can do multiple things and aren't afraid to show it off. Why get stuck in one thing? It's great. And I also love the blues. So
yeah, that was my whole thing with it,
I think we started out, I was there. We did start out as a rhythm section playing blues in Portland.
Yeah.
At a nasty Saturday market. And I'll say nasty because
the sewer blew up the stink.
There was nasty.
Oh yeah.
Portland's crazy anyway.
That's where we met Phil, though. It was wonderful. We were playing with a guy named Brian Tatton earlier, and Late Night in Love with the Blues came out of that era. I think the blues album was kind of centered around that piece. Not really, because if you can ask Tracy, we're kind of both sick to death of it.
God, if I ever hear that song
we've
again.
played it a lot, but it was the album was kind of more or less evolved around that single. Just because we've played it live and people would say, "Wow, I want the CD with that song on it." We didn't have it, so.
So you told him to shut up.
No,
yeah,
well, we should
suck it.
But yeah. All right, so I'm
sorry, man.
I'm
You're
nice
getting nothing.
Tracy.
Yeah, I'm not nice.
She's like, it's nice to want.
She's more prone that way.
Yeah, I don't like getting messed with by people.
I like her so much.
So I was listening to the album, and I have to tell you, it's kind of funny how I was listening to it. So she kicked y'all stuff over to me in an email, and I was in my car, 12 a.m., driving around the city trying to find an open Walgreens or CVS to get baby formula or water, like distilled water.
Yeah.
So I was listening to y'all stuff while I was doing that, and that totally made me chill out. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't a danger to anyone because no one else but me was out. But anyway, so that's kind of how I was introduced to your stuff. So I wrote all these notes as I was driving in the car.
Did you find the Walmart?
I found a Walgreens and CVS right across from each other, about 35 minutes from my house.
Oh.
But that was after I drove to 3 others, and it said they were open. But when I got there, they would not let me in.
For Brent, you're just like open.
I was like in Ghostbusters when the dude is being attacked by the dog, and he's like, and he's against the wall, let me in, and he gives one last scream, and the dog attacks him, but everyone goes back to eating.
I'm curious about something. As an old retail guy, I'd like to say I'm an old retail guy. I'll probably be there again sometime when I need to eat. But do you try the door anyway, even when it says closed? I'm just curious. I used to watch people come up to the door when I was working, and they would, store was closed, lights are out, the sign's up, and they would always try the door anyway.
Well, Rod, I'll be honest with you. If I don't have to get out of the car, I'm not getting out of the car.
Nice.
Now, on occasion, I have pulled on an open door, but that's because I don't know how to read. So there you go.
Well, that's, you know what? That sounds like a genuine Texan to me. And I don't mean the reading part. The car thing, yeah.
Rod, you're supposed to wait until I'm off the phone to say that shit, man.
Wow, man. Bashing, dude.
No,
we're in Texas.
I told you right up, I love Texas.
Hey, I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
I was reading stuff about y'all, and did Joe Perry of Aerosmith play with y'all once?
Yes, he played with us with that Stinker song.
How the hell did you even get that to happen?
It was the weirdest thing that ever did happen, actually. It was
completely random.
Yeah, it was totally random. It's like how those things happen. I mean, honestly, it was totally random. The guy just came up.
Well, here's what he was doing there. One of his favorite guitar shops is in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
So that's a piece of it. Aerosmith was playing a concert in Richfield, Washington, which is just right over the Columbia River.
So Sunlight, it's the big
So he was killing time that day. He was cruising around the market.
Yes, he was.
And oddly enough, there we were. Phil was with us at that time. Phil Carroll, Tracy and I, and Brian Tatman. And we were playing, I think we were playing a blues tune, probably a blues rock of some sort. But this guy came up to the stage and says, "Hey, I've got a friend here, he'd like to sit in with y'all." And we looked up, and our guitarist had a couple of guitars on stage, which was always a mistake because somebody always wants to play. I see you've been through that. Anyway, yeah, so he said, without even looking up, Brian was he just says, "Nah, I don't think so." And this fellow says, "Well, you might actually want to consider letting this guy come up and play. He's the lead guitarist from Aerosmith." And we looked up, and sure as hell, there it was. It was Joe Perry. I didn't really recognize him, but it had been 20 years since I'd been into Aerosmith and listened to him, and I saw him. I just thought, wow, I saw him in the audience a little earlier, just kind of cruising around. I thought, well, that guy has a pretty cool hat, because I was looking for a new lid and losing it on top and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that was basically how it happened. And then everybody was, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, sure," and so, but in my infinite wisdom, I picked really what is a song that's written in a horn key by Elton John called Stinker. It's written in E flat, and I think it's E flat, B flat, something like that. Everything he wrote back in the 70s was in E flats. I'm a big Elton fan, by the way, but that's beside the point. And that's really pretty much how it happened. Is he just was killing time down there at Saturday Market, and we just happened to be weird enough looking, and maybe it seemed safe to him. I don't know, but
that's a cool story, man. Because I'll be honest, I played a lot of shows, and never has anyone from anywhere other than the drunk guy sitting at the corner of the bar that peed his pants. He's the only one that ever wants to get up on stage with me. So kudos on you, man.
Yeah, that was crazy. No, seriously, I got the pictures. I was like, "Here, sign my bass." You guys signed my bass, my pick guard. I was like,
well, Tracy and Joe they spoke a lot because Tracy
both has have big ass horse tattoos.
Yeah, they have tattoos on their arms of their horses. Or something.
Yeah,
so they had something in common.
That's a cool story.
You never know who you might meet.
So there's a thing where if you have extra guitars on stage, people just assume they can play with you. Ooh. Is that a thing? I've never seen this. And does that mean, side note, for myself, if there are extra microphones on the stage that are being used, I can be like, "Yo, let me have that." That's okay. That's a thing. How did I not know this?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Would you say
we've had some crazy shit happen though? Like once in Michigan, where was that place in Michigan? We played some dive bar in Michigan. We went in there. We were opening for this other band. And we got in there. Rod was a drum set up. We did keys and piano. It was before we started using drum tracks, and some girl, like we were right in the middle of a song. We turned around, and the girl who was like following us at her act, she was like sitting in on the drum set, trying to play drums along with one of our tunes, which was an original, and it was tough, man.
So don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I wouldn't have a jam's one thing, but I was pretty shocked. I was like, it's hard too when you're a bass player. Then I had to like totally like tune her out because she wasn't on. Her timing was bad. So I was like, whoa, you don't even.
You don't even know the song, sweetie.
Playing this drum part and hope that let me just keep playing this bass part and hope that you're gonna understand that maybe you can fit in, instead of just bashing away.
How many albums have you put out now up to altogether? Four. And in doing 4 albums, Tracy, it sounds to me like you prefer to play live and have that freedom of movement than you do the recording process. Is that correct?
No, I like the studio process because you always get a product that sounds good. That's finished, nice. And it never changes. There's your moment in history, your 50, whatever you want to call it. And it never, like 10 years from now, it's going to be the same thing always, right?
Right.
But in playing live, I think if you've got a good musical connection with your other players, and there's a groove going on, some cool things can happen, and it makes life a better place. That's what I think. I just think that music is such a good thing. It's a light, and there's enough darkness in the world right now. So it's good
to the truth.
Spread it, and just enjoy it and try to. If one thing you do musically makes one person think it's okay or makes their day better, then it's worth it to me. All of it,
Yeah.
I never really went into music. I went into music to learn how to play an instrument as well as I could play it. And I knew it was a lifetime deal. I knew there'd be some days are better than others. The COVID was really kind of shitty, so nobody played. Like there were times when I didn't play as much as I wanted to at all. I was working, another job, and that was the priority at that time. And you know how that goes. And so I really always try to keep the thought in music is that it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to play it. It's a gift to have the brain power to even write a song or play a cover or whatever. So I always try to look at it like that and put it different. Like if I've got to do a cover, which I do, I'll just do it how I'm going to do it. I would never insult the main artist by trying to emulate their deal. It's not going to sound like their deal. I was like on Driving Wheel, I did it as well as I could, considering I play bass and sing it. But Etta James did it best, she just wailed right into that.
Etta.
Yeah, and so I can't ever compare with someone with that vocal ability. So I just tried to make the song my own, and cover it with some heart,
Cool. So let's talk about Last Stop Bloomington.
Yes.
So I was reading up on that, and that was about the death of someone. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of 90s grunge. I just love my favorite band of all, Alice in Chains.
Yes.
I want to see Gary Cantrell. He's coming to Denver. I'm hoping to get up there and see him. We'll see if that happens or not, but I'd love to see him in his new band, and then they're back on tour. But I was also a huge fan of Stone Temple Pilots, and we toured a lot, and we were in a place that we were playing a gig called Bloomington, Minnesota, I think it was, and somehow we were at this place and we were talking to these people that had actually, the show that guy died at, they had worked at. They were there the night before or whatever, and they did a rehearsal or whatever. And I remember the girl that worked there at this venue, it was kind of mid-range venue, had seen Scott Weiland. And I said, well, how did we see him? And she was like, she didn't really want to say it. It kind of made me sad. She said he walked by like he was a ghost. I guess the next day he was found gone, you know. But so it was when we were there, it really kind of struck me. And, you know, I did a little research and looked at, you know, how everybody tours in tour buses. Well, you know, what's so creepy about all that is, you know, somebody might die in a tour bus, and then as soon as the tour's over, they'll clean it up and somebody else is touring in it. And, you know, you don't even know you might be touring in the same bus that Scott Weiland died in, which, you know, is probably more than likely the case. And that led to this song that I was thinking about where I really felt he was a bright spark. So I just was thinking about how it was with him and you know what his life was like, and maybe some of the things he never said, or, you know, driving cross country, writing down song notes on a scrap of paper. And then I got in his head, you know, like a conductor calling out, "Last stop Bloomington, last stop Bloomington." And all I could kind of think of when I wrote the song was like, you know, the guy, that was it. That was his last stop. You know, he didn't even make the show. He died before the show. And it just all kind of, the lyrics came from there. And then I just put it into a kind of a musical thing. But that's somehow, I'll be affected by certain people or things and I'll write songs. That's usually how it always works with me. A certain thing will make me kind of obsessive or think about a thing, and then out will come a song over it. And so that song really was written about just the talented man that he was, and unfortunately his last stop was Bloomington, and it was too bad, and it happens to many. But it just inspired lyrics that just came. Like when I started writing the song, it didn't take long. I just like, God, what a life, you know, what a life lived.
We gotta roll.
I'm going to have to do another song because I know that Rod wrote this one. It's called What You're Told, correct?
Oh, no. Phil Carroll wrote that.
What did you write? You wrote one, correct?
Wasn't it Unspoken?
Late Night in Love with the Blues.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
say that name again, because I wrote down a different one, and it's my bad.
Oh, well, maybe I got it wrong on the album cover. No, I'm sure I didn't, but it would be the kind of thing I would do. No, man. Yeah, no kidding. Late Night in Love with the Blues was the only contribution of mine on this album.
Dude, you played drums. That's a pretty big contribution.
Well, drums on everything, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Good drummer, this one.
I used to be.
Come on, monster, you're not dead yet.
Well, maybe I was okay.
You ain't dead yet, bro.
So do you want to talk about that song? Kind of give us some background about it. Like, why'd you write it? Were you in a good mood? Did you have jock itch? Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Late Night in Love with the Blues. You know what? A lot of songs, it's disappointing to people when you tell them. If you're familiar with postmodernism in literature, which basically means
I can't read, man.
Something's that's you're lucky. But it's so what postmodernism basically is all about. The piece is written with no particular intent or meaning, or it's open to interpretation. It's written in a way that people can grab onto it and say, "Oh, that's what's going on," And it's really disappointing when people find out that when you've written something and it really didn't mean that much to you, and they really relate to it. Damn, you were just, I was feeling you. And
so Rod, make up something. Make up a good story, just anything.
Anything. Well, Late Night in Love with the Blues was just written about a failed relationship, and that's pretty much the issue there. So that's the spark of reality that was involved in it.
So was it in the process of failing, or was it already failed?
Oh, good question.
What about me?
You'd have to say
me. Was it about me? No.
Can you imagine? Well, anyway, without going into that.
I'm really starting to feel like it was about her.
I'm not so sure that
it wasn't.
When I grab from a lot of sources that happen to be happening, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I'm afraid on this one it was a little bit of both. There was a failed marriage, but at the same time there was a little bit of embellishment and just creativity. Sometimes when you're in a rut writing wise, I do anyway. I will just exercise and write sentences and just work with prose, period, just to kind of get out of a slump or when I feel like I don't have anything to say. There's no real good story there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, mine always has some kind of story.
Well, you said it had to do with the divorce, so there's probably a story behind that.
Yeah. It could be.
Oh, he's tight-lipped. He's not going to share any of the dirt.
This guy's kind of like Barbara Walters, in a way that,
don't let him.
Yeah, but Barbara Walters would never say this. Rod, give me the scoop on the poop.
She would say it in a different way,
Now said, for maintaining control. There's a song on my lips and a stain on my soul that reminds me of change and of things that are still left to do with you. Late night in love with the blues. If fate's not a chord we can choose, and there's nothing to say, nothing to lose. Late night in love with the blues. If you said that it's over, I'll believe that it's true. But I'd say think it over before you do. 'Cause I would bend just a little more, babe, till it breaks me in two. 'Cause I'll be damned if another one holds a candle to you. Late night in love with the blues. If fate's not a cause we can choose, and there's nothing to say, nothing to lose. A late night in love with the blues. They say that life can be empty, full of pain and so cold. Life can be blissful, so I've been told. The magic is everywhere, yet it's nowhere at all. The chance you consider set you up for a fall or a late night in love. Late night in love with the blues. If fate's not a cause we can choose, and there's nothing to say, nothing to lose. Late night in love with the blues. Late night in love with the blues. Late night in love with the blues.
The one we wanted to really talk about that Phil wrote was called Unspoken.
That's a great song, man.
That is a great song. I was listening to it, and it reminded me of one of my favorite movie tracks from the late 80s. It was a movie called Fright Night.
Wow.
And the song was Come to Me by Brad Fidel. And basically it's a kind of a seductive rock song, but they built the entire soundtrack around that song. And so the melody of the song is playing throughout the whole movie. And the reason this song sounded like that song was because of the electric guitar and how the effects on it. And it just sounded like it was so distorted that it was crying. It sounded like a possessed saxophone or something.
Ooh, yeah.
It was really awesome. But I thought that song was just really interesting, and it had a bunch of textures to it. Rod, do you want to talk about how you contributed to that song?
What in essence happened is I played a drum track for Phil, and I told him, okay, just take this and do whatever you want with it. So those are my drums, but they're very much Phil Carroll's arrangement, and even some of the fills are created, and it's crazy cool how creative that guy is. But I love it. I'm not one of those musicians that lays something down in the studio and then shits his pants when it's tweaked and textured, you know. And I think it was really cool what he did with it. As far as my contribution, it was just the drums and in their raw state, and Phil took them and ran with it. And it was pretty cool.
Hey, Rod, I need you to muster up your guitar god inside you, your rock god inside of you, and just say, I wrote the drum track and I let him have it, and it totally inspired this great song because I did this.
Well, I like the way you said your guitar god, because that's pretty much a guitarist trait, I think, isn't it? Or maybe I'm wrong about that.
Tracy, do you have any input on this song?
I liked the song a lot. I thought that Phil, you know what? There was a part in it that almost kind of sounded a little Gary Wright-ish. You know, Gary Wright from Dreamweaver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I really liked it. I thought it had a good solid bass line to it. It kind of anchored it. And then Phil really, he played keys and bass, synth, and all this cool stuff that he added to it. And you know, Phil's a pretty cool guy. He doesn't really like his voice. So, you know, sometimes I don't think he enunciates, but I thought it was a really touching, like almost like a love song. That was the vibe that I got from it, you know, that it was somebody that was talking about I thought maybe he was written about his wife or something, you know. He was talking about this woman, the unspoken words that meant the most, you know, which in a lot of ways is true in life. You know, it's what people don't say sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, it was very sensual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good song.
That's what I picked up from it too.
Wow.
So Tracy, you didn't play the bass on that one?
No, you know, he sent me the bass line, so I copped the bass line, and I was like, okay, you want me to do 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 do. But after a few takes, I realized that I didn't feel in my heart of hearts that the bass line that he wrote needed to be changed. And I'm like, Phil, what's wrong with the bass line that you've got? It's really badass. I mean, I didn't write, you know what I mean? It's really badass. So I can do one of two things. I can replicate your bass line and add a little bit of my own flair to it. But I really liked, like, that's the one thing I feel about, if you're going to serve the song, then you know that sometimes you may not be in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only song on the album I didn't play bass for. And I could have. Like, I had the same riff going, and I could have slapped it on there, but why would I do that? Because I thought his bass line was great. You know what I mean? And he's not even really a bass player. That's why I thought it was so cool.
Y'all guys are so humble. I think I'm going to vomit.
Really? No,
Y'all guys,
dude,
come on.
humble,
How do you
man.
get up there and perform if you don't, like, have a rock god deep inside you? Well, Tracy, I know you have a rock god deep.
I do, because I'm actually can have a tendency to sometimes be a condescending motherfucker when I want to be. And that is, I have an issue sometimes with humanity. So as long as I try to keep a good
Not just one person, the entire thing.
Yeah.
Humanity in general kind of sucks right now.
Well, I think that, I didn't, during the recording of this blues album, I was working full time and my other job was just heinous. And I was like under the gun and things were crazy. And so I was just putting in what I could to try to just keep in touch with music, because at that point, I was busting out 12-hour shifts in a scene that's was really stressful, and the music was like a light at the end of the tunnel, So I think like I felt like I didn't play very good bass on this last album because I was kind of torn in a lot of ways. I didn't have a lot of time. I hadn't been playing as much as I wanted to. I was working hard at that point in time. Like now I feel much better because I'm not doing that same work at this point for a while, and it allows creativity. Some jobs, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I really have. Like if you have a certain type of job, it can really kick creativity's ass. Like your job can sometimes be so different from like playing music and doing that it just kicks your ass, and you come home and you're just like, I'm ready to play my fucking bass, dude.
I've been doing that for a year, girl, like a year. I'm like and I use music as medicine, but I have no energy left to write, so I just end up putting headphones on and getting lost in wherever YouTube decides to take me.
Yeah, I'm with you. The whole COVID scene, it was basically the whole couple of years. It's much mellower now, but for the whole couple of years of COVID, when it was strong, I was busting my ass, man.
Yep.
Speaking of getting lost, though, in Tracy's defense as well, on this album, because it was blues, we wanted to kind of stay, and maybe this is just my personal interpretation of the blues, but
it's okay to have a personal interpretation. It's all right. We'll let you have that. Okay.
Not too many people do.
Yeah.
But here you go. But blues is a little bit, in my opinion, a little looser, and that doesn't mean that that's not a bad thing. It's more akin to jazz in a way that you roll through it and that's your take, and you live with your take. And I think we kind of, at least I know I did, I kind of approached this album in that way.
I did too.
That rather than fine tuning and tweaking and trying to get everything straight and perfect as we have in the past, we let a little of this stuff breathe.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful lies could never lie, doing
Well, and our next album, which we've already started, will be more like the album before. It'll be a little bit more like that, you know what I mean? We already have another album. We got a lot of music. It's just you have to
back to the weird stuff.
Yeah, it will be back to the more weird stuff, because that's definitely.
Well, I liked your weird stuff, but I really like this too. I just like it in a different way.
Oh.
I found this. I like your other stuff because I can really feel the indie rock. I can feel the grunge influence is heavy, but with this one, the blues really shined through really well, and I feel like grunge kind of takes from blues, especially when it comes to bass lines.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. I enjoyed it. Some of these tracks have become like my little chill. I'm doing dishes.
Oh, that's
nice
awesome.
music. Yeah, man.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, when you're up on the stage, do you ever start out calm and then like into the middle of the first or second song realize, oh shit, I'm on the stage. People are watching me. I'm a musician. What am I doing? You ever do that?
I don't do
sometimes when I fuck up and I have no idea how to get back.
You're like, shit, everybody heard that.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of getting used to that too. But it's mostly I'm pretty comfortable up there. It's when I'm out in the crowd that I'm a little bit edgy and not so at peace.
That's interesting, because I'm comfortable sometimes, but then sometimes I realize I have a great love of music, not only from a playing it point, but just listening to it. I mean, I just love music. And so when I'm up on stage, sometimes I'll start and I'll be fine because I'm busy getting set up. I'm talking to people. I'm doing that stuff. And so I don't have time to like actually think about what's going on. But then once I get into my set, I can like actually think, oh my God, I'm playing a song. Nah, we're all good. So where are y'all playing at next?
Here's the place. It's in Trinidad, Colorado, right over the border. It's called Flojo's Tavern Hall, and that's our big gig. We're gonna try out our weird music on the locals, which is I don't know how it's gonna go, to tell you the truth. It's kind of, this area is kind of like where I grew up, in that there's a lot of Southern rock fans, there's a lot of country fans, and that type of genre, a little bit of blues, but really we haven't heard anything quite like what we tend to lay on people. So
hey Rod, I think y'all will be fine. You just got to let Tracy use her personality to win people over. That's pretty much it.
Yes, I will.
Jeez. Yeah. How could you help it?
Oh,
I know. I was gonna say she can't help it anyway, but
I want to party with her, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find your music?
It's pretty much everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify, as far as the streaming services, and the usual suspects. Our website is probably the best place to get it. Just look up the groovebirds.com.
Yeah. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us for a little bit. It was nice to meet y'all and nice to talk to y'all. And
thank you so much for having us. Always, Uncle Brent. Brent, good to meet you. You guys rock.
Man, what a great episode. I really like the Groovebirds.
Yeah, I do too. They're awesome. I'm hoping to meet them in person one day sometime soon.
Maybe in October something strange will happen.
Something strange and unusual.
I guess we kind of already let the bag out of the cat.
The bag out of the cat. It's fine. We're two very tired, overworked, overstretched adults, so we're allowed to say shit that doesn't make sense. That's nice.
That was a really interesting band. They were very humble and
incredibly humble. Yes.
I was hoping that Rod would like muster up some type of rock star stuff.
Nope.
And he'd just It's the funniest thing to hear.
Told you.
Well, actually, nothing really happened. Oh, I wrote that song about nothing.
But absolutely nothing. I'm
But
just
anyway.
able to write music like that. I am a fucking talented badass.
So we hope that y'all enjoyed this episode and that you'll listen to our other episodes if you haven't listened to them. The way that you do that is how can they find us?
So you basically just type in Sound Pollution Podcast in your Google browser or whatever browser you like to use. And we are, in fact, Googleable at this point, which is awesome. And it'll pull up all the 100 different ways to listen to us. I do love to be Googled.
My favorite thing.
Everybody needs a good Googling. The only I've got us pretty much switched over and for whatever reason now it's not, we're back on Spotify and everything, and now it's not shooting it over to YouTube. So I'm gonna start making our own YouTube videos again, and that's just what we're gonna do.
Bam. So anyway, if you find us on YouTube or any of the sites you love to stream, it would be fantastic if you could give us a like, heart us, comment,
Subscribe and download.
Subscribe, and then download again. Create another profile, subscribe, and download again. So basically what we're trying to tell you is...
Just subscribe and download. Have your friends subscribe and download, even if they don't want to listen. It just is...
Good. It's like playing with fire, folks. But we have some cool stuff happening.
Yeah, we got some
cool people coming on board, and we have some good interviews for y'all.
Okay.
But it helps, if people see that, all 12 of y'all are downloading and subscribing. Everybody wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah, what he said, I guess.
Mom to do it too.
Yeah, your mom, grandma, Mima.
Your mom, your grandma,
Mima.
Your daughter, your brother, your sister, and your mother
too.
It's about to go down.
No, okay, I'm don't do that again.
Raise your hands.
All right, everybody. That's our shenanigans for the day. Brent, it was nice to see your face. It was nice to see the Groovebirds, and everybody get out there and make some noise.